Some people, shoot, their mouths off. Karen just pulled the trigger for real. All because I dare to swim in my own pool, on a private lot, behind a privacy fence, in broad daylight. She called it public indecency. I called it Tuesday, until she made it personal. Manswimming Chapter 1, A Life Worth Slowing Down. I didn't move to Clearwater Ridge for the neighbors. I moved there for the stillness. After retiring early from federal law enforcement, thanks to a minor spinal injury, I bought a quiet property at the edge of a private community. The house was modest. The yard was decent. But the pool was perfect. Salt water, 10 feet wide. A privacy fence, so tall it blocked cell reception. It was my rehab, my mental space, my sanctuary. 3 laps in the morning, 2 in the evening. I didn't need more than that to feel human again. I didn't throw parties, didn't crank music. Hell, I didn't even own a floaty. But what I didn't know, my neighbor Karen hated the sound of peace. Eyes Chapter 2, The First Glance. She lived in a 2-story house behind mine, technically uphill. From her upstairs bedroom, she had a partial angle into my backyard if she leaned far enough. I'd never spoken to her, but I noticed, over time, how her blinds would twitch during my swim. At first I brushed it off. Maybe she was nosy, maybe just curious. Then one day I was drying off and heard it. Put some clothes on, pervert. I looked up. There she was, shouting from her window, phone in hand, wearing a visor in pure disdain. I blinked. I was wrapped in a towel. On my own property. She screamed again. Kids live here. You're disgusting. I waved and walked inside. Bad move. That night, a letter was taped to my door. Notice, you have been observed engaging in indecent behavior. Cease immediately, or we will involve the authorities. It wasn't signed, but we both knew who it came from. Telephone receiver, Chapter 3, The Visit. A week later, 2 uniformed officers knocked on my door. I was polite. I always am. Sir, one said, we received a complaint of lewd behavior from your neighbor. She claims you're exposing yourself in your backyard pool. I blinked. You mean swimming? She said there have been multiple incidents. I took a breath. You want the footage? Footage. I pointed to the 2 cameras mounted under my patio awning, clear as day. Infrared, cloud-backed, always recording. I've got 10 days of swimming in board shorts and drying off with a towel. They reviewed it. 5 minutes later, they apologized and left. I thought it was over. I was wrong. Fire Chapter 4, Warning Shot. 2 days later, I took my evening swim. It was quiet, peaceful, until it wasn't. Crack. Something hit the privacy fence behind me. Hard. Then another crack. Louder. Closer. My military brain kicked in. I dropped into the water, ducked under, held my breath. When I surfaced, I saw it, a hole in the fence. Not splintered from the inside. Punched clean through. I crawled to the edge, stayed low, and reviewed the camera feed from my phone. Freeze frame. Zoom. There she was. Karen, standing on her upstairs balcony, arms outstretched, holding a small caliber revolver, muzzle smoke still rising. Police Guard Chapter 5. The response. I didn't go confront her. I called 911. They dispatched immediately. 3 cruisers. Lights silent. The officers took one look at the footage and separated her from her husband. She tried to claim it was a warning shot to scare off the naked man next door. But when they asked for the gun, she handed it over like it was nothing. She was within 50 feet of a residence, discharging a firearm. The officer muttered, "That's not just reckless." She was arrested that night, charged with reckless discharge of a weapon, filing a false police report, attempted aggravated assault. Her husband stood on the porch, red-faced, apologizing under his breath as she was cuffed. "I tried to tell her to stop watching you," he said. She wouldn't listen. Television Chapter 6. Public backlash. The story hit the local news. Not because of the shooting, but because of her claim. Local retiree accused of indecent exposure while swimming in his private pool. Turns out it was a false report. Social media got hold of the footage. Commenters ripped her apart. He's literally in a towel in every shot. She shot at him for swimming. Karen went full FBI without a badge. She was mocked, doxxed, and soon evicted. Her HOA board pressured her to leave after the incident embarrassed the entire neighborhood. She wasn't just president. She was also their loudest PR voice. They couldn't recover from it. Classical Building Chapter 7. The Courtroom and the Closure. In court, I testified calmly, presented the footage. My lawyers had everything organized. No theatrics. She pled guilty to lesser charges, avoiding jail but receiving 1 year probation, mandatory therapy, permanent firearm surrender, a 200-foot no-contact order from me and my property. When the judge asked if I wanted to address the room, I stood and said, "I moved here for peace. I never thought swimming would get me shot at. I hope she finds her own version of peace, far from mine." Even her husband nodded. Person in lotus position, Chapter 8. Aftermath. Today I still swim. Twice a day. Same towel. Same rhythm. The new neighbors behind me, they wave. They mind their business. And once, they even offered to build an extra privacy screen, just in case. But I declined, because I want to remember. Not her, but the lesson. Sometimes the loudest voices in suburbia aren't trying to protect children or uphold decency. They're trying to control the parts of life they've lost grasp of. Control doesn't make you safe. Peace does. And peace is earned. Preferably on a Tuesday. In your own pool. With no one watching. Except maybe a camera. Just in case.